Welcome to After the Pull, the video series where I take all of the comic books that I read for the comic book week and share my thoughts and opinions with you guys. This is the summertime abbreviated version where I only show about 5 or 6 of those comics that I read besides the earlier #1 video series that I did called Worthy Ones. So if you guys haven't checked that one out, go ahead and check that out, as there were a lot of new #1s this current comic book week. So before we dive into it, guys, I just gotta give a quick shout out to Mutant Beaver Comics. Guys, if you never checked out Mutant Beaver Comics and you love exclusive variant comic book covers, go ahead and check them out. They got over 4,000 of them in their store. They have top-notch customer service and they have great packaging. And if you use my discount code Corner10, guys, you can save 10% on your first purchase and every other purchase after that. So check out mutantbeavercomics.com. So with that being said, guys, let's talk about some of these comic books that I read this comic book week. Venom issue 35. This is the Venom War Prelude. So if you guys have been reading this series from the very start, get ready for it. This legacy numbering here is 235. This is a 28-page comic for the price of $4. Your writer here is Al Ewing, and your artwork is done by what do we say? Safu? Is that how you say the person's name? The art seems like it's heavy on inks. I don't know, man. I feel like sometimes it's a little dark, but the characters do look pretty awesome. Here we have some kind of like planet symbiote thing going on right there. And this run of Venom has not really been my favorite, but it's all leading to this whole Venom War situation where we have all the different Eddie Brocks interacting with each other. They're all different. They're all Eddies, but from different time periods to get him to the point of that character right there, which is Meredith. And at first, when you read this series, you're like, oh, who is this bad guy? So, yeah, it's weird. It's interesting. At the same time, you got Dylan, who is alive, which at first you thought he was going to be dead. You have this symbiote that's alive as well, but doesn't have a host, and it kind of teases something in the future, which I thought was actually pretty good. And this is a spoiler here, so just if you don't want to see it, but if you don't care, you know, here you go. 3, 2, 1. We have Dylan Brock from the future. So it's like Cable with long hair and another eyeball, right? I mean, he even has a scrape in his eye also. So yeah, I guess he is missing an eye. What's with guys from the future always missing eyeballs? Like, what is that? He's got big guns and everything else. So, yeah, you know, at the end of the day, this one is fine for me. It's a C+. It's nothing spectacular. It just doesn't get me excited because we have another event that's going on, and this is pretty big. You guys thought Absolute Power was big? That event is really nothing, right? This is a lot bigger than I ever wanted to be, but you have a checklist here with all those books, and there you have it, man. It's a lot of them. There's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35 books with Venom War. That's a lot for this, for a Venom event. I don't know, maybe when we had King in Black, right? I guess there was a lot more books in that, but I felt that was a much better Venom run than this. Gunslinger Spawn, issue 33, a 24-page comic for the low price of $3. It's written by Todd McFarlane. The art is done by Carlo Barberi. Now, Barberi always does great artwork on the Spawn comic books, and I think he's done a phenomenal job on the Gunslinger Spawn book. Characters' facial expressions look good. There's always, you know, when there's action in this comic, there's a lot of great action, great explosions in the comic. The only issue with Gunslinger as of late is that there really hasn't been all that much story progression. And ever since the dead zones have expanded and all the Spawn characters have lost pretty much all their powers, it seems there's been a lack of story progression and a lack of action in the comic books itself, at least in the Gunslinger comic. Now, Gunslinger's whole thing is he wants to get revenge and kill people that killed his family, especially his sister, right? And in the last issue, we did see him, get that revenge on killing a certain somebody, and he doesn't think anything of it because he's stupid. He doesn't understand today's modern technology, and then he winds up having a conversation with Linda. I think that's her name, if I remember correctly, kind of like his partner, his sidekick that he's been working with. And the next thing you wind up seeing is there's a shootout with the police on trying to capture him because obviously he killed that particular somebody. So this book it was a lot of fun. There was good action. Did it progress the story? No, it really didn't. It was just one little scene. But if you're a reader of this and you were looking for some cool action scenes and some graphic scenes in there, you're going to get it this time. So I'm going to give this one a B. I think Gunslinger is a lot of fun. I do like how the character is challenged in a modern day world, and I wish they would tackle that just a little bit more. There's a little bit too much sitting around, and I just like when he's interacting with the other humans, right? So hopefully we do get some story progression. What happens with, Gunslinger going forward, because he was in an unfortunate situation at the end of this issue. So yeah, good stuff. I don't think I'll ever stop reading this no matter what, because it's so cheap and it's one of 2 Spawn books that I currently read. Okay guys, do not sleep on this comic book. I think this is becoming something pretty good right now, and this is Deadpool. This is issue 4. This is Deadpool versus Death Grip, and the writer here is Cody Ziegler, and the art is done by Eric Gapster. This is a 28-page comic for $4. The legacy numbering is 339. The art is perfect in this comic. It works for what it is. It's not a very serious comic. Obviously, you can't take Deadpool seriously because he's always goofing off, right? He's got a symbiote dog by the name of Princess. We have the family element in this comic with his daughter Ellie in here. And then we got Taskmaster by his side as well. Now, if you guys are not familiar with everything that I like in the Marvel Universe, Taskmaster is like one of my favorite villains, right? I just love his power set, and I love just how they've continued to make the character better. I remember when Jed McKay wrote the Taskmaster series, he made Taskmaster very cunning, very resourceful, and I love that. And I feel like people are kind of playing off of that a little bit, and he's become a much better character. And this book really focuses on Taskmaster learning the skills of Ellie, what she can and can't do, what she's inherited from Deadpool, like is it a healing factor, how smart she is. And I thought that was actually a really fun part of the book. What this book also has, again, is not only is it the family grounded elements to it, but it's got good action, good humor, and it's just got a nice mix of everything. Books in the past with Deadpool has had a lot of Deadpool always talking to the audience, cracking jokes, and it just gets old the entire time. There is just some fun little witty stuff in here talking about how the story arc can only be 5 issues because the writer was told to do this, and it just sprinkles it in nice and easily. It's just not forced. And when you get the confrontation of Deadpool facing this Death Grip character, right, you come to an end of a part of the issue where you're just like, oh damn, are they really going there with this? And it is a nice surprise, and this book is going to get an A+. Now, this book did start a little slow for me. I was like, I don't care about Ellie, I don't care about the other side of the family aspect, but now that she's joining Deadpool and she's training, and we get this particular character that is, possibly doing something to Deadpool that you wouldn't expect, man, I'm all in for this comic. This is the best Deadpool series that I have read in quite some time. So I'm giving a lot of credit here to Cody Ziegler and the entire team. Scarlet issue 2. This is a 28-page comic for the price of $4. This book is written by Kelly Thompson and the art is done by Marco Ferreri. The artwork in this book is good. I like it. You know what's good about it is the action scenes. I mean, when you have some cool scenes where Scarlet is battling, you know, against other like ninja-like characters, you're like, oh man, that's pretty cool. There's also kind of like a gross scene where she's like pulling out a razor blade out of her like, I don't know, her side of her stomach or whatever to cut herself free. So I thought that was kind of cool. There was one off panel, which was this one here. Everything just looked out of proportion, but overall I thought the artwork was pretty solid here, and it definitely had a lot of action. I guess that's what you can say about this Scarlet book. I feel like there was story progression, but not enough here to kind of like satisfy me. Remember guys, this book is only 4 issues long, so what do you hope to accomplish in the Scarlet character in 4 issues? You're left wanting more. I feel like you spend half the issue with her trying to escape and trying to battle these ninjas, and then you get a flashback scene, and then you wind up getting a little sit-down tea time with Storm Shadow, and then finally you get the mission at hand at what Scarlet has to do, and you're just left at the end with her just starting the particular mission. So now you have 2 issues left to accomplish what you need to do with the character. And I just think she's not going to do enough. This does not have the same level of excitement as, say, some of the other Energon Universe comics, like a Void Rival, or like a Destro. I'm sorry, not a Destro, like a Cobra Commander, or like a Duke. This is not at that same level, and I'm left wanting more, and I'm hoping that Kelly Thompson can deliver a little bit more and accomplish something from the character that, I don't know, that we care about, I guess, right? Because for me right now, this just seems like almost like a Black Widow book, but she's like fighting ninjas. It doesn't seem anything spectacular right now. So I don't know. We'll see. Obviously, I'm going to continue to read it, but this is a little bit below average for me. This is a C minus. You know, by issue 3, you're going to have to wow me here to change my mind. Batman issue 150. This is the milestone issue since like the New 52 launched, right? I mean, you should be super excited about this one. Legacy numbering 915. It's a 48-page extravaganza for the price of $6. You know, we have Chip Zdarsky, and we got a couple of different artists in this book, including Jorge Jimenez. There's 2 separate stories in this bad boy. And unfortunately, this book read like an annual. You know, the annuals that didn't mean anything. You would expect when it comes to a comic book, especially a milestone issue that you're paying $6 for, it would have some weight to it, right? And on the top it says Absolute Power tie-in. Now it does tie in Absolute Power, but it's the other way around, guys. You get about 8 pages of a secondary story here that has to do with Absolute Power, and you probably get 40 pages of this story that happened in the whole, what was it, Gotham War situation, where you had this crook that found out about Batman's identity, and he's trying to find out, you know, he has that information, and he's trying to get a get-rich quick deal by going to the other crime lords and telling them that he's Bruce Wayne, and everything failed, right? So he goes to freaking Two-Face, and he goes to the Penguin or the Cobblepot family, and it's a complete failure. And then what happens is Batman is just giving this guy a lesson, sitting there going, you just need to be a better person. Be a better person towards your son. You know, get yourself a new identity. Don't do these quick, rich schemes, you know, and all this other stuff. And I'm like, why the hell do I care about this guy? Why do we make a whole story about this? I can sit here and say, all right, maybe we do this as a backup story for 10 pages or so. I can get behind that, and then do the first main story of your Absolute tie-in stuff. right? This is your major event that's going on, and you're gonna sit there and only come up with 8 pages of a story where it has Amazon Wonder Woman going after Cyborg because he's the one that can possibly stop everything. Like, to me, that was a little bit more interesting. Like, I would have loved to see more of that. Why do you do something like this in 150th issue? It just blew my mind away, right? Listen, I could get behind secondary stories and stuff like that, but this was just a complete miss for a milestone issue. To put that banner up there and say absolute power tie-in, no, that's a miss, guys. This was not the worst thing I've ever read. It's not, but it's misleading in my eyes. So because of that, I'm gonna give this one a D. This is kind of sucks because you're paying for something that you're really not getting here. So yeah, that's definitely unfortunate. I want to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Space Ghost! Issue 3. That's right, guys. This book is 28 pages for the price of $5. Published by Dynamite. The writer here is David P. Post, and the art is done by Jonathan Lau. The artwork is great, man. I really enjoy the characters on the way they look and kind of like exploring the Space Ghost world and all these different types of characters, but they do it in a way where it doesn't overwhelm the reader, right? We've already gotten introduced to Space Ghost, Jan and Jace, on who they are and the people that are going after them, and now you're getting involved a little bit into more of the universe and the people that are going after them, and them learning, going through trials and tribulations of who to trust and who not to trust in this comic. Now, when I read this particular issue, I felt like I was actually watching an episode of Space Ghost on them going against this particular widow-like character and trying to get information, and you're like, oh, maybe we can actually trust this person, and then she kind of double crosses them. But I love seeing the kids in this book on how witty they are and how Space Ghost basically is treating them like his own kids, right? I am so curious to see the direction of this comic on where it's going to go in the long term. But again, all the characters look great in here, and I love how it's just a little bit darker than that, Hanna-Barbera cartoon that we once read. The only issue that I do have with this comic is it reads really quickly. It seems real short for the price that you pay, but I feel like, in my opinion, this is one of the best comics that Dynamite has going for it right now. So this is a high recommend for me. I'm going to give this one a B+. Guys, are you reading Space Ghost? Let me know in the comments below. So there you have it, webheads. There are some of the books that I read for the current comic book week. In fact, it's probably most of them. There's maybe like 4 or 5 that I didn't share my thoughts with, but I didn't feel like they were really worth it. But if you love the video, you know what to do. Give it a like, thumbs up, all that great stuff. And if you want to watch more content, there's always more content for you to check out right here. And guys, as always, support the local comic shops. Keep buying, keep collecting, but remember, always read your comic books so we can have great comic conversation. Guys, I'll see you real soon. Thanks for watching.